Let's stand for our pledge. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Let a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Welcome to our regular meeting. We are here to accomplish the business of schools for the sake of our students. We do want to hear from our citizens, and there's time for public comment prior to action items on the agenda. We ask speakers identify themselves and their home district. We also ask that your comments are limited to 3 minutes in order to provide equity to all speakers and to ensure our meeting is reasonable in length. If you have more information that can be summarized in 3 minutes, please provide leave-behind materials for the board's review. The moderator will ask you to conclude your remarks as time has elapsed. If you have questions during the session, you may ask for clarification from your school board member or school administrator after the meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda this evening?
So moved.
We have a motion from Ms. Bynum. Is that you? Mm-hmm. I'm too far away. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second. Ms. McCool, is there any comment? All in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, no. It's ordered. Ms. Campbell, our school liaison has come to address the board this evening. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Esteemed members of the school board. Today I would like to highlight the achievements of the many sports and activities at our CHS. So, as you know, the band has participated in 2 competitions so far. They did really good. And they're traveling to Madison County High School to perform in an exhibition on Thursday, which is like an ungraded performance. And that's a good opportunity. The theater department is traveling to Clark County to compete in the one-act competition to start out their season with their play Houston, We Have a Problem, on October 21st in around Missoula. The World of Golf has hosted an all-day regional event today. I couldn't find any of the golf players because they weren't in school, but I'm sure they went well.
They're on their own.
The varsity volleyball team has been killing it on the court. They won 3-1 in their sets last night. They did really good. My dad watched the game and told me about it, and really good game. And football has also had a great season, winning 5 games in 3, so it's like 5-3. The annual powder coat football game between the juniors and the seniors is tomorrow night at 7 at the high school football field. So I would come out and support the junior class. Like, all the money goes to the junior class so they can afford all the stuff they need for their senior year. But you should also come and cheer on the seniors because we're going to win. So. I would also like to bring forth the idea of having a combo spin in the culinary class. The culinary class throws any leftovers from the day into the trash can. Leo Masters, who is a senior and a culinary fanatic, says that it's eco-conscious and I always feel guilty about having to throw away the food. I think if students do it at school, then they're more likely to do it at home, meaning composting.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted me to bring that to you.
That's good.
And also, this coming weekend is our annual homecoming. Our theme this year is Night on the Bayou, which is like Princess and the Frog. And everybody's really excited about that. We've had 2 spirit days so far. That was Pajama Day on Monday, you probably saw that on Instagram. And then today was anything about a backpack. People brought like suitcases and 4-wheelers. It was a lot of fun. Tires,
Ladders, kayaks.
all sorts of stuff. Bikes. And yeah, so thank you for coming out tonight, and I hope to see you all at the Power Boat game tomorrow, because I'll be there too.
Yeah.
Like,
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Campbell? What did you say? Did you have a plan for the culinary waste? And I missed it. Did you say there's?
I do know that there have in the past been people who have pigs who'd like to eat the waste or that kind of thing who've been happy to come and pick up, but I don't know I know that like Sam's, is always looking for a few more calories for its animals, for example. But it might be worth even maybe reaching out,
Yeah, it's good.
reaching out to folks like that who are already partners of the schools.
Good idea.
Excellent.
That's my.
You could chicken down by the towns.
Yeah.
5 chickens. Compost, yeah. Yeah, but it can be good for livestock.
Yeah, great idea.
Or maybe some of our FFA families have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We should definitely be able to close that. It's a good idea.
Excellent.
I got a text that Tucker had a 44 on the front 9 from the golf tournament. And I don't even know if that's good.
That is
Is that good?
That's very good.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. So
If that's how many strokes.
anyway,
That's really
Depends
good.
on tomorrow.
anyway, hopefully they did well. No results yet. Thanks for coming out
Yeah,
and sharing
thank
with us.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Nicola.
you.
Okay.
Donations?
Yes, so we did, we're still compiling those, but we received quite a few donations. Cross-country team was doing a fundraiser, so they have the bulk of the donations this month, but in all, and this will be posted as soon as we finalize a couple of things, but over $10,000 since last month in donations.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It is, it's amazing.
It is, and a great testimony to our community. Because when you go and read, if you were to see these, there's like, $20 here, $30 there, $40 there, and $10 and $100. So it's quite a, I mean, when you achieve that much from so many, it's a great testament. So, and appreciate it. And we'll accept those donations with a smile on our face during the consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes from our September 10th meeting?
So moved.
We have a motion, Mr. Uben. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. McCool. Any comment? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. So ordered. I reviewed the bills earlier. We are 25% through with our budget year, and we are 27% through with our money. We're doing really well. Things don't burn flat, but we're burning appropriately. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion from Ms. Bonin. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rubin. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed, no. Thank you very much. Dr. Grimsley, is everything up?
We are ready.
The floor is yours.
The first item under the report of superintendent is actually a report from our principals. So I'm going to ask them to come up, probably starting with Ms. Wissinger for the elementary school. This is the time of year every year where we present the continuous school improvement plans, what each school is doing. So I'm going to pull up your presentation here. Good evening.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and to share with you our continued school improvement plan at the elementary school. So my plan this evening is just to go over some initiatives, some updates, and just talk about our goals for the 24-25 school year. And I do have to say that this year has just started off amazing. It's been a great start to the school year, and lots of great things happening at the elementary school. So first of all, just to kind of touch about as a leadership team that we are working on finding our true north this year. So as a leadership team, our focus is on Bill George's book, Finding Your True North. And this book really emphasizes our authentic leadership by staying true to our values and our strengths. And we continue to go through this at our leadership meetings every week. And then, of course, we take that into our faculty and our students as well. So it's been a great motivator to start the year. So looking at our overarching goal, our CES will have a literacy focus across all subjects, not just reading or language arts, but teachers will incorporate reading into writing, or they will incorporate it into math, science, social studies, and even our exploratory teachers are starting to take a literacy focus this year. So by doing this, our students will develop a stronger literacy skill that will help their overall academic success. And so looking at 2 academic goal domains, our first one is in language arts, and our goal is for every student to improve their reading skills by at least 1 grade level within the school year. Special attention will be given to students with disabilities, aiming to close the achievement gap by providing them with the necessary support and resources to help make them make significant progress in reading along with their peers. The focus is on ensuring all students, especially those with learning challenges, experience meaningful academic growth. In math, they will continue to improve their skills in math fluency, the ability to solve math problems quickly and accurately, and number sense, understanding numbers and their relationships. The focus, once again, is on helping all students make progress with a special emphasis on increasing the success rate for our students with disabilities. And then we have 2 school environment goal domains this year. The first one is to continue to work on our chronic absenteeism, and our goal is to decrease that absenteeism by 10%. And then also to continue to build our positive school culture, and we work on creating a more positive environment for both our staff and students by fostering a culture that emphasizes academic achievement and social emotional well-being. And so now we're just going to look at the, for each one of the domains, just the essential actions, kind of the goals that we've put forth, and also the action steps to achieve those goals. So the first one is, the goal is for at least 80% of students in preschool through 3rd grade to achieve proficiency on the VALS, which is the Virginia Literacy and Language Screener. It has replaced PALS, that used to be. Now we have VALS this year. And this ensures that our young students are building a strong foundation in literacy. The goal is for 80% of students in grades 3 through 7 to meet the reading benchmarks on Ames Web. That's a tool that tracks their reading progress, and to pass the state-required reading standards of learning. RCS is focused on helping all students, including those with disabilities, improve their oral reading fluency, specifically the number of words that they read correctly per minute. The goal is to boost reading skills across the board, which will also lead to improved pass rates, particularly for students with our disabilities. And that's just an area that last year we were very successful, and we were all green, and which means we were, across the board, we were accredited last year, and our students with disabilities did come up, and we just want to keep using that same model that we did last year and just continue that growth for those students. So some things that we will work on, or our action steps to obtain this goal. The first one is the Haggerty routine. If you remember last year, we came in and we did a Haggerty lesson with you, so you kind of got to see that in action. But it's a phonemic awareness program that we use daily to build students' foundational literacy skills, focusing on sounds and words to support reading development. We also have a brand new reading series for kindergarten through 5th grade, which is called Bookworms. And it is a structured reading program that focuses on building strong reading skills through a comprehensive approach, including phonics, vocabulary, and comprehension strategies. And one of the things that focuses with, or a big focus this year with Bookworms, is our shared reading. And so I've had the opportunity to be in most classrooms now to actually watch this in action. And it has been amazing to see that these teachers are actually getting students who have really bad reading difficulties. They are being successful because they're being modeled fluent reading, and they're all being successful with reading. So it's really neat to see. And if anybody ever gets a chance to come in our building and watch the shared reading, it's a fun activity. I actually went in the other day and I was partner reading with a student, and it was great. And our 6th and 7th graders have Mirrors and Windows this year, which is a comprehensive instruction in reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language. It also includes grammar, vocabulary, and spelling exercises. We'll continue with Orton Gillingham in Science of Reading, the research-based multisensory approach to reading instruction. And this is particularly effective for our students with reading difficulties. It really focuses on their phonics and their language comprehension. Our pacing guides were updated this year, and they are aligned with the new state 2024 reading standards, ensuring that our instruction is up to date and focused on our required benchmarks. We're continuing with our multi-tiered system of supports, and this is just a framework that provides different levels of academic support based on student needs. So Tier 1 includes all of our students, Tier 2 is our targeted interventions, and Tier 3 is our more intensive support for our struggling students. So for Tier 2 and Tier 3, we do utilize our AIMS data, our progress monitoring, so they're monitored bi-weekly. And then we just, we adjust their reading based on their needs. We use resource time, which is provided in across the board pre-K through 7 in their schedule. And we use this for remediation and for enrichment, but it also allows us to use some programs like we have Lexia Learning and Ignite that are personalized instruction based on those students that are Tier 3 that need some extra support. We'll continue with differentiated instruction and our formative and summative assessments. We're also continuing with our collaborative learning teams, our CLTs. This year we do, for the first one of the month, we do a grade level meeting where Mrs. Lopart and myself, we are present in those meetings with grade levels, and we talk about any students they have concerns with. We do look at behaviors as well and what supports we can do to help them. And then the following Wednesday, tomorrow, was our reading CLT, so we look at reading instruction. We talk about new reading practices that we can use. Ms. Todd leads a lot of those for us. We look at data, we talk about students, and we really just get to identify them by name and need. And we'll also provide daily practice for students to improve their reading fluency, which is essential for overall reading comprehension and academic success. And then our next is math. And so at math, our goals are for 80% of students in preschool and kindergarten to meet the standards set by the Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Program, or VKRP. This assessment measures early literacy, math, social emotional skills, and self-regulation, and it ensures that those students are prepared for success as they move up into our elementary school. We also will have our goal for students with disabilities will decrease by 10% or demonstrate a full year's worth of academic growth, ensuring their progress this year. The target is for 80% of students in first and second grade to be at or above Tier 1, which represents grade level performance on the AIMS Web Math Assessment by spring. And for students in grades 3 through 7, the goal is for 75% or higher, of course, to pass the state math SOL test with a score of at least 400 or higher, which is the minimum score required to pass the SOLs. And some steps that we'll take to make sure that those goals are being met is in our CLTs, we will continue to work with our math specialist, Ms. Bostic, to analyze data from the VKRP and just identify those strengths and areas of improvement for our early math skills for preschool and kindergarten. Students will engage in daily activities to improve their understanding of numbers and their ability to solve math problems quickly and accurately. This regular practice builds foundational math skills. Teachers will incorporate daily spiral reviews of previously taught math concepts to reinforce learning. This technique helps ensure that students retain and apply math skills over time rather than forgetting them as they move on to new topics and new skills, which is a constant spiral review, so they're staying fresh on all topics. RCS has revised its math pacing guides to align with the new 2024 Virginia math standards. We had new math and reading standards this year. And then once again, we'll continue with our MTS framework for Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 supports. We will still use AIMS Web as progress monitoring for those Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. And we also have some programs like ZERN that we use for our interventions as well during that resource time. We will have, once again, using formative and summative assessments, we will have benchmark assessments that we really use that data just to make sure that we're on track and to see if there's anything else we need to do or go back and reteach anything. And it just makes sure that, you know, all students are meeting those grade level expectations. And like I said before, we will continue with our math CLTs as well, and our SPED teachers are also involved in that because we want to make sure that, you know, they're part of those conversations as well, so they can support them too. And then for chronic absenteeism, some things for our action steps for that is our attendance is taken at 8:45 each morning. And then our attendance clerk, who is Miss Williams, she will follow up with anybody that we do not have excused absences from, just to make sure that, you know, we know why they're not here. And then we have come up with a division-wide tiered attendance system, very similar to our Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 this year for absences. So Tier 1 is kids that are regularly in school. Our Tier 2, we're looking at about 10 unexcused, or excused days, I should say. And we follow up with a letter from the principal. You know, I've already talked to some parents about, hey, is everything okay? You know, what can we do to help your child get here? And then Tier 3 is when we really need to look at, okay, now we're really becoming chronically absent, and it might be where, you know, Miss Williams, myself, and Miss Smith, we all sit down and we have a meeting and come up with a plan to make sure that that student is attending school regularly. We've been pretty good so far at the elementary school there, so.
Yeah, you're at 95%.
Yeah, we're just gonna
Which
keep rolling
is
with that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think how you improve on that.
I know.
Maintain
It was good. Yeah, maintain, that's right.
Maintain, great.
Yeah, yeah. And then positive school culture. Every 2 weeks, I have staff do a check-in with me just to make sure I know how they're feeling. If they have any needs that they want to talk about, if they want to meet with me, you know, or they're like, hey, my week's going great, I'm loving it. They also do shout outs for staff. So every, like today, I read like 4 or 5 shout outs that they do for each other on the morning announcements. And it's just really a quick way for me to make sure that I'm checking in on everybody's well-being and being supported the best way that I can for staff too. At our monthly staff meetings, this year, our faculty meetings, 3 teachers are being recognized for their positive energy and contributions to the school community. And that's sponsored by, or it's inspired by, the Energy Bus by John Borden. And that's just a motivational book. If you've never read it, I would recommend that you read it. I went to a training this summer and with actually Miss Ellis, and we went, and that was, I always look for whenever I go to something like to take a nugget back, and that's the nugget that I took back was that book, and I could not put it down. Like I read the whole book in like a day and a half, and it just tells the story of this guy George, and he really is having trouble in life and with his job, and his car breaks down, he's got to take this bus. But this bus is like this, the driver is like this inspiration, motivation, like speaker, and has these rules for the bus. So we're working through this with our BLT this year, our building leadership team. So whenever we meet as a BLT, we talk about that, and then we share one of those rules with our staff, and we recognize three members, and we do an Energy Bus award for them at faculty meetings. So, and it's great. And we found out, I had one staff member who was like, do you know they have a children's book in this? And I was like, I did not. So now we've ordered like 8 books, and now the kids are doing it, and now the kids have little energy buses in the hallway. So it's just been a great little motivator, and everybody's been excited about it. So we also will continue with our peer mentors for 6th and 7th graders. And they, once again, they have to complete an application. We make them participate in an interview, and they have to maintain good grades and exhibit positive behavior. And they, their roles are they mentor our younger students. They assist with our safety patrols. Sometimes they help, you know, at car riders or make sure kids get out to the buses safely. They have little badges that they wear. And then they also just provide some tutoring either in the classroom, or sometimes they'll take them out in the hall, work on flashcards or something like that. But it really helps build our leadership skills for our older kids, and of course, our younger kids absolutely love it, and they're getting academics and socialization and everything else. Another way for positive school culture is our Junior Panther of the Month. We just completed our first one for the end of September. And that's where homeroom teachers just really recognize that, you know, they have a student who's just been a great role model, been a friend to everyone, making good choices. And so we announce them every month on the announcements. We get their picture, we put it out in the lobby, and they come and they have lunch with Mrs. Lobarton and myself, and we bring treats, and we have Panther swag that they get. And so it's a big deal to be a Panther of the Month, so we'll continue with that as well. And our family engagement night, the goal is to have 2 of those again this year with hopefully a little more of a literacy and a math, little theme with it this year. That's kind of my goal, is to get it more, you know, to have some literacy activities and some math activities as part of the crafts and things and the other excitement that they do. We have positive office referrals. And these are when teachers just recognize students who have really done a great job. They might be hardworking, they are being responsible, they're being respectful, they have a good attitude. They put them in my mailbox, I read them out over the announcements. I notify parents that you know, that they got one, so they know that, hey, this is a good, you know, this is a good thing, they got a positive office referral. They send it home, they get a little paw print sticker on it, and so we're trying to, you know, enforce that too. And the last one is just that our increase of spirit days. We've had 2 spirit weeks this year, and we had last year our first ever pep rally, just getting our middle school kids excited for our JP football team. And that was a lot of fun. It was the first time those kids had ever been at a little pep rally, and it took me a long time to get all the silly string out of my hair. But, you know, it was a lot of fun. And our SCA as well will continue. Mr. Hummel does our SCA just to continue to promote that positive school culture. So that is our CES's continued school improvement plan. Any questions?
Anybody?
I have one question, actually. You said at the beginning, each student is expected to demonstrate a year's worth of progress. So I know that, so how do you monitor that student by student? Like maybe some 4th graders have, you know, 4.5 Lexile or something. How do you
So we use our aims, because that's a percentile. And this year is the first year with instead of doing the state student growth assessments, we're able to use the full battery assessment, the full battery of assessments and aims. So basically they get a composite score. And so that's another way that we can show growth if they came up from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So that's another data point that we do look at. As far as that goes. And then of course, you know, our younger kids, they do running records, and so they keep track of, okay, they were at a level 4, now they're at a level 16, so like there's different data points that we use for that.
And are you offering more advanced materials to some students who are ready for them?
Yes, yeah, all that differentiation. Yes, ma'am, yeah. Yeah.
So I had a question. So
Okay.
You mentioned how you're using resource time. I was wondering how many minutes a day resource time. It sounds like it's critical time.
It is. It's roughly 30 minutes that we have. I wish we had more for that. It's just hard getting all the other instruction in.
Seems like that's your opportunity to do any corrections that are surgical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's too where we also do our, you know, Ignite in our tier 3 interventions, where the students, that's basically like, you know, they have their own personalized tutor, and those are for kids who are still working on decoding and those foundational reading skills. You know, we have 4th graders and 5th graders that are in that right now, and the goal is that hopefully they'll graduate. We've already seen some that have graduated from the program. But yeah, that's a very, and it's a tricky thing to plan in a pre-K through 7th building, because we also want to make sure that our resource staff that we can use like for that, like for an example in 4th grade, they have the same person that helps with 4th and 5th. So their resource time can't be at the same time, or we won't have those bodies to pull small groups in to help with that. So, but yeah.
And I thoroughly
But it works.
enjoyed the document where the children were asked, "What does Miss Wisinger do?" That was a blast.
Yeah.
My favorite was when I sit at my desk and I wait for the phone to ring.
I knew it.
Yes.
Anyway, Thanks for
All right,
addressing
all
us
right,
tonight.
thank you. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Boynton. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, and it is my honor tonight to present the Rappahannock County High School Continuous Improvement Plan. We've worked cohesively together at the building leadership team level, as well as involving all of our staff. So our overarching goal this year is that we aim to create a welcoming and supportive school atmosphere where every student can grow and succeed academically, while also working to eliminate any gaps in achievement. We are dedicated to offering real learning experiences that help students develop important skills for their future careers and promote the overall well-being, academic, physical, mental, and emotional, of everyone in our school community. So our first, under the strand of teaching and learning, our first domain is actually science. Based on our most recent data, science is one subject area that we have a lot of work to do. And so our SMART goal for science is by May 31st, 2025, the percentage of students passing the science end-of-year assessment, which for us is physical science in 8th grade, biology in 9th, and earth science will increase from 65% to a minimum of 70%. 70% is what we need for accreditation, but of course we're going to aim higher than 70%. So under that strand for teaching and learning for science, we have 3 essential actions. The first one is that 100% of our teachers will, with particular emphasis on science, will implement targeted instructional strategies. For example, access prior knowledge, clear learning targets, objectives, checks for understanding, active learning strategies, variety of formative assessments, and timely feedback. And this will be done in their daily lessons to monitor and drive their instructional decisions. Also, 100% of our teachers, with particular emphasis on science, will progress monitor students utilizing both summative and benchmark data, and will develop appropriate reteaching and enrichment activities based on that data. And then finally, 100% of our classroom observations will reflect the planning and implementation of these Tier 1 strategies, differentiation and reteaching, and we'll be measuring that by a quantifiable walkthrough observation form. So some of our action steps to address this strand, and these are just some of them, I haven't included all of them, is that we are going to be developing our own instructional support team. And this will be non-evaluatory, and it'll be staff who can go around and support our science teachers as well as our core teachers as we are working through these instructional strategies. We'll be providing professional learning opportunities throughout the school year based on research and evidence-based instructional strategies. We will be scheduling and facilitate school-based instructional rounds. Again, these are non-evaluatory. These are really checking for our trends that are going on in classrooms. How are we doing as a school? We will be doing some training this year on teaching to the block, which is making sure that we are utilizing the 80 to 90 minutes we have appropriately. We will be regularly scheduling, we've already started this, our data meetings with aligned protocol where we will meet with our teachers and we will talk about their benchmark and what are their next steps. And then we're going to be developing an actual quantifiable walkthrough observation form that we will utilize, and we will share that data throughout the school year. So our next strand under teaching and learning is under the domain of reading and math, but is very specific to our special education students. So for example, our first one is by May 31st, 2025, we will increase the pass rate of the reading end-of-year assessments for our special education students from 58 to 66%. Again, of course, if we can get higher than 66, that would be very much more appropriate, but this is a workable goal for us right now. And then for math, we will increase the pass rate of the math end of year. And for us, this is going to be specifically Math 8, Algebra 1, and Geometry 1. And again, we're going to be working specifically with our special ed students. And we are striving to gain 35% up to a minimum of 42%. And I put R10 there because basically we are looking to reduce our failure rate for our special education students in order to gain that increase. And so what are our essential actions? So for language arts, We will, 100% of our identified special education students will receive very specialized reading interventions, in addition to using Lexia, which is a program that has been endorsed and provided by the state and is really research-based and evidence-based and has great results. 100% of our special education teachers, in collaboration with our reading teachers, will progress monitor all special education students and will utilize our summative and benchmarks. And then 100% of all special education and reading teachers will implement individualized instructional strategies to support the continued growth of all special education students in reading. Very similarly in math, again, we will be doing specific work on our individualized instruction. We also will be really progress monitoring heavily, using summative and benchmark. And then again, we'll be using targeted math interventions. We have ZERN, that will be one of the resources. Some of our action steps is in reading in particular, we're going to be using specific skill-based graphic organizers, and they will be utilized across all of our reading classes to support and scaffold the learning. We'll be utilizing evidence-based strategies, really focusing in on the skill and the need of our individual students. We're going to consistently use the identified strategies to make sure that we are appropriately providing the instruction. We will create and utilize a collaborative spreadsheet for monitoring all learning outcomes. So as we are looking at our targeted students, what do we need to go back, reteach, remediate? And then we will be utilizing the tutoring platforms such as ZERN. We are using varsity tutors in addition to other math interventions, including Delta Math, iExcel, for example. And our final domain under teaching and learning is our career preparation and workplace readiness. So by May 31st, we will develop and implement at least 7 high school academies with aligned thematic grouped courses that incorporate sequential classes for students pursuing industry trade certifications and or successful 2 to 4 year college application, enrolling a minimum of 80% of students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And so our essential actions for that is, first of all, doing our research and developing these academies. Right now, we have been talking about fine and performing arts, our agriculture academy, which is already very well defined, future educator, science and health sciences, hospitality, tourism and culinary arts. We're in the beautiful Rappahannock where tourism and hospitality is right there, so why are we not taking advantage of it? Engineering, design and construction, which will include our HVAC trades, and then the independent studies and scholarship for our students that really are more creative and want something that is very specific to their career path. Then we are going to be reviewing and revising our current program of study, and we're going to be making sure that it is appropriately aligned with our academic academies. And then we are going to be reviewing and potentially revising our current practices for designing the master schedule and how we schedule our students. And so some of the action steps, we have already established a master schedule program of study committee. And by the end of this week, I have got 5 students so far from my student advisory committee that have volunteered to also be part of that committee so that we have our students' voice as well. We're going to be surveying our teachers, staff, students, and community on our current master schedule and really work on the pros and the cons of how we are currently doing business, and then solicit their ideas for possible consideration. We're going to develop clear sequential classes for students in each of the academic academies with prerequisites, particularly for our upperclassmen courses. Once our high school academies are finalized, we will review and revise our current program of study to align. And then we're going to develop a timeline with clear deadlines for scheduling all high school students. So the goal is for our teachers and staff to know what they are teaching prior to leaving at the end of May, and all of our students to have selected and confirmed their course selections before the end of May 2025.
Wow.
So our strand 2, school environment, we can't not do chronic absenteeism. So by May 31st, we will be decreasing our chronic absenteeism by 10%. Our essential actions is we are going to be focusing on the multi-tiered system of supports. Really, as Jen explained, it's a very comprehensive three-tiered process that we will be utilizing as well as the elementary school. We will be doing school-wide attendance initiatives that promote a positive school culture, such as incentive programs for consistent attendance and awareness campaigns. And then we will be integrating social emotional learning practices into our school culture, and again promoting student well-being, engagement, and a true sense of belonging. So some of our action steps are we will have an attendance review committee that will meet weekly, and we will be working on our tiers there, and we'll be supporting our students that are struggling to come to school on time or come to school. We will be using data analytics to identify our students that are most at risk, developing personalized attendance plans for the students. We'll be establishing check-in and check-out systems where we will be checking in on our at-risk students. We're looking at doing school-wide attendance incentives where we will have classes compete to have the highest attendance rate for the class reward. And then we'll involve students in developing solutions and initiatives that will promote regular attendance and then therefore encouraging ownership of their learning journey. And then our final one is under staff morale. So by May 31st, teachers and all staff will commit to actively work with the assistance of administration to locate and secure coverage for pre-planned and professional leave, to include field trips and conferences 100% of the time. So under that, our essential actions are that we will work, the teachers, the staff, admin, and we'll work alongside the elementary and our HR to recruit, train, and retain quality substitute teachers. We are going to develop a plan to process for monitoring upcoming absences so that we can be very proactive and we ensure that we have coverage and that it is communicated in a very timely manner to our staff. And then we are looking to develop a rewards-based program to support our teachers and staff when they are the ones covering classes during the school year. And some of our action steps are working with Holly, haven't told her this yet, but working with Holly on social media and local community groups.
Holly's used to surprise.
Go Alabama. So to reach a broader audience, to leverage multiple recruitment channels, really promote a positive environment. So one of the things that we really want to do is showcase our school's culture and values, and with that include testimonials for our current substitutes, and really illustrate the welcoming atmosphere in the building. Recognize and reward performance, so celebrate the contributions of our substitute teachers through recognition programs, certificates, or feature stories in school communication. And then develop a system to visually provide all teachers and staff with up-to-date and timely notifications for our daily coverage plan. And with that, our final thoughts for our plan is that we are on the road to being remarkable.
Aggressive. Yeah, I love it. Any questions for anybody? 7 academies.
Yes, sir.
And so you've identified them.
Yep.
And we have this year. So the goal is this year to make sure they're all well defined
Correct.
and that everyone's signed up and prepared for next year.
Yes,
That's great.
and it will happen.
That's a good plan. They've been very successful so far and have attracted a lot of attention. So yeah, it's a great thing.
And there's more attention coming our way. We've already had students from out of Rappahannock seeking interest in some of our academies. So I think there'll be more to follow.
That's great. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fulton. Did you realize how running a school in all of these aspects is so scientific? And these ladies are the scientists in the building, and thank you so much to Karen Ellis and all the support teams and the coaches and instructional coaches who help monitor and look through all of that data with the implementation of BLA and the additional standards changes. It does require master diagnosticians in the building, so we have that. I'm really impressed by the plans that have been put forward. So thank you.
And they're detailed documents behind these PowerPoint slides that a lot of detail there on how we're going to accomplish the things that we saw on the slide. So it's a lot of work. Thanks for that.
Okay, the next item under superintendent reports is a facilities update from Dr. Bolt. So I will give the floor to you, ma'am.
It just doesn't seem fair that after all that great stuff, I get to come up and talk about
Talk
this.
about water.
Water. You know, no, there is no mold. There is no mold.
There's pictures to prove it.
So, we had 3 weeks of rain, and we ended up with 11 classrooms with a drip, drip, drip. And when it's raining, there's not much you can do.
When it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours, and we got a lot of rain. And I don't know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm gonna tell you. So the roof is done over a flat roof, and it's done with metal, with a beam in the middle. So when there's a leak, it runs down the beams to wherever it wants to go. But you can go ahead and start. So what we do is, when something like this happens, we follow EPA guidelines. And they're very specific on what you do. But I want you to know, as soon as it started, roofing contractors were contacted. And they were actually out there in the rain one day trying to figure it out. Not that I was pushy or anything. But first thing you do is you remove the ceiling tiles. Because if the water sits in it, we know what's going to happen. That it will mildew, and we can't have that. We worked with every teacher, and I gotta say, these teachers are incredible. The teachers that were affected were very accommodating. We moved one class one time because there were several tiles and we didn't want to disrupt class, so that's all we had to move classes. But the teachers, I don't think you can ask for a better group of teachers because they're not newbies. They've seen and they know, and it is annoying, and it is discerning when there's a drip in your classroom. But they were very, they understood the situation and did the best in the situation we were in, and I want to commend them because that was incredible. So the ceiling tiles were removed, and then you really can't do anything until the leak stops. So once that stops, you assess the area and you clean up, and we follow what's called a mold prevention table. And so these are the steps you take to prevent mold. And then the guide for if we do find something, how we handle it, how carpet's handled, how drywall's handled, how concrete's handled. So, of course, the highest priority of anything is the safety of our teachers or staff and the guys that are doing the cleaning up. So if you want to go ahead and hit the next one. So this comes directly from EPA, and this is how you handle it. I'm not going to read it all to you, but books are discarded. When we had the leak in here, we had to get rid of the books. Insurance covered it, thankfully, but we weren't at that point in this episode. But I'll let you know if it's fabric or carpet or you do humidifiers and different things you do. So, and that was done. And from the first thing you do is you look for mold, because that's what you want to look for, because if there's mold, you clean it right away so that it doesn't spread. We never found any instances of mold. And I did have a company, a supervisor from the roofing company come out into the space between the flat roof and to look to make sure we had no mold in there also, and none was found. So that's a good thing. I'm very happy. But it's trying to get on it as quickly as you can and clean it up. And they were, Saturday we had the Headwaters Festival, so they came Sunday and did repairs on the roof. Fingers crossed. And the problem is, the roof is 20-some years old. It is on the capital improvement for repair, but some of the plywood's popping. So they pulled shingles off and screwed down the plywood where it was popping. So let's hope that that issue is resolved for now. We do have steps of what you do when there is mold, so it's not running blind, this is what you do, this is what you see, these are the steps you take. And I think it just, and Shannon and I were talking, and we've always just followed EPA, but because we didn't have a defined plan, I created a defined plan based on the EPA, so that it is there, transparency, put it online, and, it's very unfortunate. But I did a evaluation of all our roofs in the spring, and I had a company called Garland come out. And what they did was, they checked all our roofs and said which ones needed repair first, who would last 5 years, 20 years, that type of thing. And, which I'm glad I did, because that's how we knew to do the tar roofs here this summer. So the idea is to push that roof up to next year's capital improvement. Now, we only get $200,000 a year, which sounds like a lot, but it's not when you do anything like this. It's just not. So I'll have an estimate next week.
For another shingle roof.
Right. And my thought is, and I can't find the original, but some of you were here when that
I
was
was
done.
here when we did that.
Was that done when they did the primary
The peak
wing?
roof, it happened in the early 2000s.
That's when they did the primary?
We put a pitch roof over anything that we could put a pitch roof over. 'Cause
Which
we
was
were
good.
constantly having trouble with flat roof.
Mm-hmm. So it's due, so I will know more next week when I get and of course I'll just put it out to bid also, but I need a number to work with.
Yeah.
So-
And 10's gonna be, what, double?
Oh, you're not,
Not gonna, there's no way.
no, I mean, there is a way if we had the money, but it's usually double of asphalt. Yeah,
Right, but.
and
Well,
for
for
the
example-
long term,
Right.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
I mean, we
it's,
put it on the high school and it's still there.
yeah, and it's still doing, I mean, we had one little leak this rainstorm, one little leak, and it was a little seam that they just put caulk in.
But it's
So-
been 20 years, at
Yes.
least.
And they say
For
it's
the-
probably has another 20 in it.
And on that evaluation, it did say within the next 5 years that
Yes,
needs to
the
be replaced. So
within the next 5
evaluation
years,
said
that
it was-
roof need to be done. And then after that, it's the gym roof.
The auxiliary gym?
No, the
The gym.
gym here. The auxiliary gym has the metal roof.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I did want to talk about air quality also. When we did the RFP for the HVAC comprehensive plan, that is in there. So they are putting in 3 different rooms, the ones that were the worst, in air quality. And they'll be in there for a week so we can see a longer term, because sampling you can get a different reading every day if you go in. It depends on if the HVAC's running, if the window's open, so we do it for a week. And what the sample will do will tell you the humidity, the temperature, and what's called VOCs, volatile organic compounds. And if you have a large reading of VOCs, there might be an indication of mold.
Right.
And then we call in a different company to test for mold.
And then, additionally for indoor air quality, anyhow, don't we have air filtration
Thank you.
systems in
That's the
each
next thing.
classroom?
We have,
got during COVID time.
During
Have they
COVID,
not?
and they've all been made sure they're operational
Yeah.
and working.
So the air scrubbers, additional upgraded filters, the HEPA filters,
UV.
so thank goodness we did.
I mean,
invest
this
so heavily in
all-
a lot of that.
Because
That
of
really did
COVID, we're in a much better place than we ever would have been. And it's just good practice because we've got strep, flu,
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
starting out. And if we can keep that air as much airflow as fresh air you can get, but then the air scrubber that will take those contaminants out. So, yes, it's not been a fun week, but we're on the other side and you've never met anyone happier to see the sunshine.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
we're all very happy.
Just never happier. And I gotta give kudos to Hunter and Ray, because they stepped up. Anything I asked them to do, they were on it, and we're lucky that we have and the teachers were incredible, we're just lucky, because it could have been worse.
Yeah, and Ray, under his leadership too, he's very well trained in this stuff, so when we were checking with the EPA guides and everything, we're like, oh, they took care of all of this already. They were
Yeah, I
right
didn't
on
have
it,
to
very
tell them.
responsive.
Yes.
Can I show them the pictures just for
Sure.
illustration of, so this is what like people were seeing in the vents and near the vent where the air is blowing and where water might have come through a tile. So that looks really gross, right?
Yeah.
So then you remove the tile and where you look for any type of mold growth, long-term damage or anything. It almost looks like brand new construction behind it. And they, have to clean up and follow the EPA guidelines on that. So that was something they wanted to show.
Which
See,
was
even though
bleach
it's-
water.
It's
Yeah.
water and where the vent's blowing, then dust and dirt and anything will stick to it, so it looks worse. So
So-
I understand, but we asked them
But
to
that
tell
was
us, if
dirt.
you see anything like this or anything,
Yeah.
please report it immediately, we will come check it out,
Right.
clean it up immediately. But like Dr. Bolt said, the teachers were awesome. I also visited every single classroom, Robin did every single day, just to see if there was anything else we could do or any, and they were
And then
awesome.
I ordered more dehumidifiers also, so that we could get the humidity out of there.
Yeah, it was tropical.
Oh, it was
It was
hot.
rainy.
It was hot. And here I am calling this poor guy at the roofing company saying, I'm sorry, but somebody's gotta come, go in the attic and see where it's coming in and tell us what to do. And they did, so, they were responsive and have continued to be, so I'm pretty happy with that. But it was not fun.
No, absolutely. And then what happens, I do want to point this out because there may be some type of a misconception. If mold is found, then what happens? Does the school shutter down? How long is it closed? And that's not the case at all.
No.
If you find it, you're probably moving students around while you remediate a little
Right.
area. It's not,
Right.
And EPA says you don't shut school,
yeah,
you
you will
don't.
not
You
do
take
that.
care of the area.
We would notify, of course, and say, this is what was found, this is what we're doing about it, and we are testing for all of that too, just to be sure, extra sure. But that's it, the EPA won't tell you to do that, and they don't have a actual healthy level of mold because it is the most naturally occurring
It's,
particle in the air,
it's
especially when
everywhere. It's
so,
on the trees and leaves now. Yeah.
so it's just one of those things we're trying to, but this will, having the articulate plan that you put together, thank you, that can at least be a document for the community, teachers, anybody to reference when they have questions about this, and also for the board too. I'm sure you've got some questions about the leaky roof at the elementary.
Do you have any questions? I'll do my best here.
Looks like it was thoroughly handled. Looking to the future, it's great to see that it's on the list, it was bumped up on the list as well.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious this week. Last week, last 2 weeks.
That definitely got up on the board.
I said, can we just move it up?
Yeah.
As long as you guys agree, I'm on it. I'm already getting quotes.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for doing that. Thank you, Rob.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the next item is 4.3, the SIPA policy review. Did you want to stay up here, Dr. Bolt, and read this to the board?
Please don't.
No.
Hey,
That's an
where are
inside
the
joke.
words that say that this has to be
All right, so
read verbally? Where's that? Can we
That
make a
comes-
policy that we don't have to do that?
Well-
It's code.
it's code,
So what we get E-rate funding from it's the libraries and public schools and it's E-rate. And for us to continue to get that funding, we have to have it somewhere that it is read at a school board meeting to make sure we qualify for that funding. And they pay for 80% of our internet here, so.
$102,000, right?
No,
Is that-
no.
Is that the BPSA?
Oh, yes. No, this is E-rate that it
E-rate
requires
one,
us.
okay.
So it pays for every 5 years, like when we redid the whole network, it paid for that.
Yeah.
So it's money for the, so just read it.
Please read.
So,
We're not gonna spend that money anywhere else.
so just to be clear, I mean, you mean we need to read it? We don't need to read it out loud?
No, you just it needs to be put up on the board docs for everyone to see.
And it's in the minutes, in the record that it was publicly read.
Yeah, you're scaring me.
It depends how literal the interpretation is of the code, so.
As long as
you're
we
all
say that
inclined.
it was presented at the school board, we are fine, because they require me to find this when it comes time
They do.
and show that it was in the minutes that it happened.
It so happened.
Gail, make it happen.
Every 2 years.
Yes, sir. And it has been updated since 2019, so,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it probably will be updated soon with AI,
Yes,
so
yeah.
just FYI.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you.
Again. Mold and SIPA, that's your charge.
Everybody's gotta have something.
4.4 is the SIFT update. This is just going to be a standing agenda as we're working with a lobbyist to secure funding, hopefully by getting both budget language and a legislative bill through the General Assembly to remove the cap on our supplemental basic aid. So that is an ongoing effort this week, and next week there is some internal member-to-member lobbying going on, which is very useful in trying to work in budget language into a bigger budget bill. And that's our goal right now, with some key players that we would not have identified otherwise had we not had lobbyists. So it's already, I would say, paying dividends on that front in Richmond. So we'll keep you updated
Oh,
on that.
she's excellent.
She's amazing.
Elizabeth, we had a call with her, how long ago was that? 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago? And there's no way we would know these parameters. There's too many parameters. There's things that we were gonna do that we shouldn't do, and things that we need to do that we didn't have any ideas. So we definitely, we would be wasting our time if we hadn't gotten this person on board. And then we have to figure out, at the first week of December, I think we should know whether we're gonna have the potential of being successful or not. And that's when we'll make a decision about continuing funding for that. And that's another 30K?
30,000, yes, and
30K.
Headwaters, we did meet in this last SIFT meeting about the next several months being about, or the next couple of months, raising some funds and having a fundraising campaign toward that and getting the community involved. And some of the language we can use for that. We already have had people approach us about how can we donate to that effort, so I feel like that will be successful. So we let Headwaters crew get through the Harvest Festival first before. So now we're gonna gear up and start that fundraising campaign.
Right. So the reminder is there were 2 phases to this initial effort, and that was just to do the research and find if it's plausible. And if it's plausible, then to continue the effort by Elizabeth, I can't remember her last name, Parker, and then actually act on our strategy, her strategy, really. Our strategy. But anyway, it seems very promising if we use her approach. So.
Okay, that concludes my reports.
Oh, and she said to us too, when she needed us, she would let us know.
Oh, she does.
She did.
Oh, she does.
Yeah,
So she will tell us when it's time to step up,
Okay.
and where to go, and who to talk to, and what to say. And we need to listen to the
And
young
all those
lady.
handouts to give, right?
We need to listen to the young lady.
And we listen to her.
This is her, this
ready.
is her domain,
Yes, she's the boss.
and it was very evident in a very short 45-minute call I think we had with her. Betsy, I think it was 45. So. Anyway, that was good. Thanks for leading that up.
We need a new roof. We need this money.
Yes.
I would like to have a medal. No, I'm not gonna push on that.
And a
one.
couple buses would be awesome. You can say the money all
Take it easy, bro. Take it easy. All right, moving on to reports of Headwaters representative. Ms.
Yeah,
Fine.
my report is really just that the Headwaters Fall Festival, I hope you all made it here, it was amazing. It was
huge.
big, it was a beautiful day after a lot of rain, and everybody worked really well together to make it just a fun, festive event. I don't have the long list that Claire sent me, because I don't have my phone, but I got to go, and it was really just very fun. And it felt like it was a good cross-section of the whole community coming out to support, and also just to showcase the school. And you know, I came with my 4-year-old nephew, who was delighted for the rabbits and all the things to pet, and we had good food and good music. It's a nice, I enjoy the format, I like the new format. It's not new anymore, but this format is really fun.
It was a fun time.
So I just, congratulations to Headwaters for
Yeah, it was a good job.
successful event.
Let's see, Mr. Grove's not here for MDGS. Do you want to report anything for MDGS?
Yes, I'm looking at the September, we had our joint governing board and academic advisory board meeting in the September meeting, so that was very helpful. It's always great to hear from the program people about the instructional piece, so the governing board can make decisions about policy and budget. We also heard from a student who did a presentation on one of his science research projects. So that's always neat, computer science type project that I would, even though I'm a comp sci major, I started as a comp sci major, I still struggle to get what he was talking about.
Well, it's
These
changed
kids
a
are
lot.
so amazing.
It's changed a lot since you were in school.
And
Dr.
that C++
Beardsley.
is not like a thing now,
No,
so.
it's not.
Right, even though you're so young, too.
I know.
Yeah, no, it's obsolete in 5 years, so pretty neat. And then we talked about goals of our new director. LaDonna Gorham has officially started and she's hit the ground running. She has some great engagement goals and really trying to increase the applicant pool across the board, but particularly we have our own special goal for Mountain Vista, for Rappahannock County, as well as Clark County. Because both of those counties have seen a decline in our applicant pool and then our slots, so enrollment slots. So we're trying to boost that up with a lot. And Cecilia Lopiano, our new gifted specialist, is working on that. And I know Dr. Boynton and Danny Pond and Cecilia all went to a counselor training and meeting with Mountain Vista too, just a couple weeks ago. So they have some plans too to enhance that group and start earlier on building up that applicant pool.
Great. Well, thanks for that.
Absolutely.
We all had a copy of the policy updates from last month, and we'll have a motion on those and action items. The policy committee is recommending that we pass those changes. Public comment, is there anyone that would like to address the board this evening? Anybody? No? All right, is there a motion to adopt the policy changes that were presented last month?
So
I
moved.
have a motion, Mr. Rubin, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. McCool. Any comments? Jots and tittles, new words, definitions of new words. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. So is there any new business? Is there any requests for future agenda items this evening? Our next school board meeting is scheduled for November the 12th at 6:30 back in this very same room. And Ms. McCool has a motion for us to go into closed session.
I move that the board convene in closed session for the following purpose: to discuss and consider the appointment of staff for professional, classified, and coaching positions pursuant to the Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1.
We have a motion, Ms. McCool, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rubin, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. So ordered. We're going to go into closed session. The room right behind us will be out in 10 minutes, and we will conclude the meeting. Let's see, if you want to hang out.